And now for our podcast, 25 minutes, because Narcos is performing at 9:30, and we respect all artists, am I right?
Right.
Yeah. Yes. Let's get it. This is Cazzo.
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 Cazzo. Exactly, that's what Cazzo means, right?
What does Cazzo mean?
Cazzo is kind of like what the fuck, but it's more like what the dick. So it's also like what a dick.
It's a bit gendered. Hey, who's talking? Introduce yourself.
Oh, I'm Federica.
Why does it take you so long? You're like, who am I?
Forgetting my name. Who's the person next to me?
I'm Latisha Horstink. I'm an artist, among many other things.
I'm Sydney, aka Quavo's mommy, aka New Year New Me, aka at New Year New Me Power, and I'm a human that's an artist like everyone else.
I'm Djuna. That's me.
So what's the topic?
The topic is at Cazzo, real love. Real love.
Who wants to kick it off?
What is the silence on the
Silence. That's interesting.
It's probably the theme, right?
Okay.
On a count of 3, we just say what we think of when we say real love. 1,
Mine's
2,
Why do I
3. Sex.
Okay, it works.
Sex. We're talking about sex. 2 out of 4 of our
Oh, look at that!
Hello.
This
This
is
is
here.
Cazzo. We're recording now. Let's do a little moment to say hello
To Yamuna Forzani, who's our usual regular here as well.
Wanna talk to the mic, baby?
Say hello.
Listen, I'm sorry I'm late. I had some problems with the NS. Fuck the NS. Hashtag fuck the NS. But I'm here now.
Tell us about real love, Yamuna. Tell us about real love.
I wouldn't know.
Leaving us wanting more. You can find her later
Next episode, guys. At the next episode.
Sure, but tonight you can find her at the karaoke spot. You should totally go there.
Organza Palu.
Palooza. The karaoke spot with Timothy is Organza Palooza outside of PIP, the glass room.
Okay, but enough promo for other people.
enough.
Let's hit it.
What about real love?
Don't
Come
clap
on.
back, baby. Don't clap.
Anything to
the
say
fuck.
about the real love?
Let's talk about sex. That was.
Let's talk about sex. Let's talk about penis.
I know that sex is the most obvious thing that we're going to talk about for real love, but that was the most talked about thing now. Let's talk about sex. What is real love and sex?
Let me just say I disagree about real love and sex being like super connected,
Of
but I'll
course.
step away for a bit, but coming
No.
back to it later.
I do agree with you. I mean, I do, but also, I do. I mean, I know that like, you're just not only really in love with someone because of sex, of course, but just it kind of builds the connection, you know? Like,
It does.
You know?
It does, because the person is listening to you and it
he-
translates.
Also, like, when they love you a lot, they'll give you like, you know, they'll take care of you. They'll make sure you come, and they'll, you know what I mean?
Yes, I
Sid is
agree.
nodding.
I'm nodding because we're both in relationships. But what about the hook?
Yeah, we're single girls.
Okay,
But I
but
mean, it's not the only kind of real love.
it's not the only kind of real love.
It's like the penis can only give you one kind of real love,
Or-
and the boy or girl attached to the,
Or a pussy.
you know, yeah.
But can we talk about? Let's talk about the single ladies here, or the ladies. Let's not say single.
Yeah.
The ladies on an adventure.
Well, as a virgin, I would not know about the sex, but the orgasm is a real love to me. It is.
I think
It's like-
virginity
it's
is a
just-
myth, though.
Sorry?
I think virginity is a myth.
No, same here. It's just, for me, it's the way to say I haven't had
True.
something penetrate me that wasn't myself.
True.
Basically.
Cool.
So, but yeah, I feel like masturbation should be way more talked about, even within women and men, anything, and love. And it's like, for me, it's a self-love. It's a ritual in a way, and it's just to like remind myself that I'm in control of myself and I can let loose if I want to, you know? And it's my choice in the end.
Perfect. I would love to bring the topic from love and sex to love as a phenomenon in this culture. And I think love is really taken over by romantic love, even though that's neither like the most real love to me, nor the most important or satisfying love I've known. I've known really, really, really great friendships, and those are super loving. Or the relationship I have with some of my family members are super strong, and I just love those.
I agree.
No, yeah, definitely. I think, I don't know, I just think when someone says love, I just think of my mom. But, of course, yeah, and my friends, and just, yeah, you know, it comes in so many different types of forms and in little gestures, and you're like, oh, you know? So
I agree with you. And the other day, I was in Rotterdam. We were having, finally, the music is down. We can finally hear each other's thoughts. I was just thinking about getting drunk and not talking about real love. But real love to me is, the other day we were having tacos in Rotterdam. Me, Malu, Timothy, and Giovanni. Lekker. Tacos in Holland, very interesting, but that's another podcast. But we had a huge day of recording music.
yeah.
And we were basically just really tired, kind of getting on each other's nerves. And then the topic of mothers came up. And all of a sudden, I started to cry because, you know, when you're with friends and sometimes you get irritated by friends and all of a sudden you see them in this new layer, you don't know who their mom is, but you see them for who they are, and their eyes start to light up.
Yeah. I think we also have this as like, you know, we're all studying abroad or like working abroad, living abroad. Well, apart from you, Djuna, but I feel like sometimes I meet these people and I know them, but you know, I don't know where they really come from, and it's not just a maternal thing, but just like everything before, you don't know about them. And sometimes when people are talking about their families or their moms or whoever their family may be, keeping it open and, you know, but you're just like, oh, you know, like, yeah, you come, you know, there's something in someone before I met you, you know, like your existence happened before I actually knew you, and yeah, and things change, you know.
I think we're also in a place where often people ask you like, where are you from? This is also for another day, but I love to say from my mom's womb, because that's where I'm from. Okay, so beyond family love, what else is real love? Real love.
It's funny that Fede was mentioning this, that we're coming from completely different spaces. We don't know who we are. We don't know each other's past before. We don't know what went on. And yet we form these mini communities.
Families, they're kind of families.
These mini families. Even Djuna, yourself, you're from here, but then we're all connecting now, and we're kind of forming this small little family. And it just makes me realize, like, is this real love, or is this a fantasy, or is it reality? Is it reality? Because I don't know everything about you, and I'm not going to insult you in your face where no, but okay, if I have a friend who I've known since I was like 12 years old, I'm gonna say, bitch, you look so horrible right now, and that is real love.
That is.
But then I will not say this to you guys, because
You can say it to me. Like, honestly, I have this, like, with new friendships that I have, it's like just with Tish, girl sitting next to me now. But yeah, I do miss that, like having those connections, and it's also a little harder for me to open up, I think, and maybe also for you, that's kind of why
I
we
think
connected.
like friendship, like in a way, I also feel like friendships. There's also like soulmates with like friends, you know.
Yeah.
There's like some people where you literally, like the way I met her, I literally sat across her.
She was on a
night.
Tinder date with a
I was
guy,
on a Tinder date with another guy.
she fell in love
and I
with
met
me
him,
instead.
and I literally fell in love. Like it was such a like.
Yeah, she texted her other
Exactly.
friend and was like, "Oh my god, I met the nicest girl ever."
Yeah,
Me.
and I was like, she does this, and like she's interested in everything. We're interested in like, it was just like such a like magnetic click for me, and then like all of a sudden like, literally like after that like completely attached to each
and we're
other
also
from the
very
minute.
very different at the same time.
Exactly.
But I mean, I don't know. I think
I think
you
that's
just
also definitely like a real love
Yeah.
kind of soulmate first met kind of, you know.
love at first sight.
Yeah,
and some
exactly.
other friendships also take a bit longer and stuff. You know, it's not every friendship like develops in the same way. And I think I take time to like be funny. I'm kidding. Sorry, a little inside joke. Sorry, audience, you'll catch onto that. But it just sometimes it takes a little longer to really show who you are and feel comfortable. But Sid, just to respond to you, you can always tell me when I look like shit. Like no worries.
Same here, same here.
That's very reassuring.
I feel like you can also tell if they're a real friend if they go up to be like, "Hey bitch, what the fuck is happening right now? Like, are you seriously doing this right now?" Like, I think it's like noticeable. Then you're like, "Oh, okay, she's a real one," you know.
That's true. And I'm just saying that I'm just speaking up for the shy people, the people who have a harder time to not connect, but a harder time to be honest with each other. Sometimes it's not because you don't want to be honest, it's because you're afraid to speak out. And that's a form of communication that's really important in authentic relationships. And I'm just wondering, to what extent the way we feel about each other, our self-esteem, our real love to each other, how does this connect to other people? Of course, we all know low self-esteem means lower, we don't want to say lower relationships, but less honest relationships.
Sure. Also, to kind of jump on something you said, it's that within like romantic relationships or even family relationships, there's kind of a pattern that you're supposed to follow. Like at first you're someone's daughter or someone's son, or in a romantic relationship, it's quite like, oh, I like you, I'm flirting with you, like with my eyes, and then we're gonna kiss, and then we're gonna go home, and with friendship relationships, it's a bit more fragile in a way, because it's more based on like talking or hanging out with other friends or having the same interest or being an artist or being like, bitch, I want to do a podcast. But I think we should also maybe try to invest more in touching each other, massaging each other, kissing each other's faces. Like these expressions of love are so important and are not really normalized in friendship relationships. And I think they really could be. And I would love it if we would like go for that.
I just said teach me that because I'm not good at it.
I do have one question for you, Djuna. Is you're very open to people, and that's a beautiful thing to see. And it's not like shameless, because there's no shame and there's no thought of shame. It's just who you are. And I was wondering, were you always approaching relationships like this, or was it some sort of process, or did you have an epiphany one day? Because your approach to people is beautiful and loving and warm, and it's actually very radical. Because even with my own friends, like very, very close friends, it took a while to be this radical. Even with family, it's almost like I know you, but then I don't know you because I don't know like the surface level things about you yet, like your favorite food, etc. But I see your heart, and I'm wondering how did you come to this place?
Well, it's so lovely that you're saying this. Thank you so much. First of all, I think I really love expressing love, so that helps. Like I can also imagine that for some people that's just not their thing, and then they express it in different ways. Like for me, touching or saying things is really like an active part of my, I don't know, life energy, like life force. And I'm gonna massage some people later. I love doing stuff like that. And I've noticed that sometimes people find that a bit like even off-putting or a bit like, oh, you're too much. But it's just, it kind of comes naturally to me. But it hasn't always, I think. It's just that I was really raised by my grandmother. And she was super like intellectual, feminist, quite radical, quite like super powerful, tiny lady, super powerful. And she was really hard, like on herself, on life, on me, on the system, on everything she was working on. And then in response to that, I kind of decided in a way that I didn't want to be bitter. I love to be radical, but also love to be tender, and I love to be loving. So I think it's a conscious decision that just really suited me well and that I really enjoy.
That's super cool. I think I actually wasn't expecting like the opposite. I thought you were coming from like a really affectionate kind of thing, because I come from a family that, I mean, my parents like, you know, don't really kiss in front of me, and like my mom is hugs, but she's like, not really. Like we're not really like open with our emotions, and also physically. So I still have that, and I'm not, but I am, you know? Like, I don't want to be, but somehow it's just, I just am. And I'm like, I don't like it about me, but it's like I haven't learned this kind of behavior. And I actually had this like with my boyfriend. He was always like holding my hand and touching me because his family is like so affectionate. And I'm like, and he's like, you never kiss me in public. You're never like hugging and touching me. And I'm like, because I had to like be really mindful, like, okay, how I give love is not maybe how others want to receive love, you know? So it's like, sometimes you really have to love people the way they want to be loved, and that's also with friends, exactly the same with friends. So for me, it's like, hey, me being there, me cooking for you, that's me saying I love you, but then others are like, no, I want you to like hug me, and you know?
There's a very like, it's from a church and it's quite commercial, but there's this American system with about love languages. I really like recommend you guys look it up and do like a little quiz, and then you get like your love languages. But like I love how they approach it as if people have their own language, and if you don't speak the same language, you kind of have to learn the other people's language. Like if you're in a relationship with someone who isn't a toucher but you are, you have to kind of learn that language of maybe they're more of a like a words of affirmation kind of like.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's super commercial and kind of Christian churchy, but it's a very nice like little test, especially to do with your lover.
Yeah, and I think we also have to say that like expressions of love are also very culturally like constructed. You know.
I'm so glad you brought that up.
I think, yeah, I just want to say that. I don't know now to speak for other people's cultures, like. I have this and everyone's like, but you're Southern Italian, like you guys are so warm, and it's like, yeah, but we're also, I mean, I'm not, but I also come from a very conservative background, and not conservative in the sense of like political thinking, but just like my grandpa was like, you're not gonna fucking sit on a boy's lap and hug him all the time, like it's your cousin's boyfriend, why are you, you know? So I was always like, okay, my body, my space, other people's space, very conscious. I mean, it just stays within you, I think. And there is this like, yeah, there's these intergenerational gaps, because then I've been brought up in a completely different context than my mother was raised and my grandmother, but still does, somehow it's still within you.
I think it's also really interesting from my point of view, from two different cultures, from a European and an Asian culture. Like, I think for me, seeing it, like the difference growing up between both countries was really interesting to see, because like from one side it's like you kind of love not at a distance, but you like the way you love is so like in the details, whereas how I saw the love in Europe is more out there and it's more outspoken and you're more confident in it in a way. Not saying that it's not confident in Asia, but like what I experienced in Indonesia, it was very much like really the small things. So like if I made my mom mad, for example, to apologize, she would like cut me fruit and like put fruit for me, you know, and like we would never really say anything like like, you know, like I'm sorry, like yeah,
Never
like,
acknowledging.
the thing with my mom, like that's the only way to get around it, which I really love, because like she will go off for days, but like as soon as you say I'm sorry, she's over it, which I think is also such a real love, you know, being forgiving is such a like part of real love for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And also I think there's also, because of, I think both in American culture and European culture, there's this kind of thing that we overdo it, or there's kind of like this fake love, like I love this, I love that, I love it, which is like over the top and unreal.
Yeah, it makes it kind of like artificial sometimes.
Yeah.
When it's like done too
commercial.
much, I feel like that's like a lot. But then also it's like, I don't know,
I agree, yeah.
with Asia, it's like, I personally, because I am raised in both cultures, like the way I see in Asia, it's like not enough. Like I would like to express it more there, but then it's, you know, people like look at me like, oh wow, she's so European, and like it's just too much at some point.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I say to everyone like, okay, see you later, I love you, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like I don't get that.
Also, I think even actually love is not only like a cultural thing, but it's also very linguistic. If you just look at like in languages like Spanish or Italian, you have the difference between te amo and te quiero. In Italian, ti voglio bene and ti amo. I don't know about French, je t'aime and you have like a... No, but that's still pretty... I don't... Maybe in French you don't. I know in Spanish and Italian you have te quiero and te amo, right? And in Italian people never say te amo, but you say... No, I mean you say to those that you really love, you know? But it's like, you just say ti voglio bene. Like even to my mom, I don't really say like... Yeah, oh maybe yeah, she texts me like, love... I'm not sure actually. Yeah.
I think my family never says I love you. So for me, it's almost also like an intergenerational difference, where my parents and my grandparents, they say super interesting stuff, and they've introduced me to a lot of art and a lot of political situations and interesting ideas, but not a lot of love, and not physically, not saying I love you, which is fine, but it's funny that you assume that would have been the case, and it's really nice for me to hear that is the case, and you're like, oh yeah, my mom says it, and I'm like, oh, my mom never says it.
I also see it with like my other best friend. She's from Thailand, and like they never say I love you to each other, and it's like a lot of like, there's like a whole Facebook page like Soul Asian Shades, and I fucking love it, it's hilarious. But it's like, a lot of people are like, parents just don't like affirm love. Like they do it in such a different way, and to me, because it's like both cultures, for me it's like, I can see like where my mom kind of took, but for me it's like such a normal thing to express love and stuff. So I really like hearing it from other people saying like, oh, you know, my mom doesn't say I love you, and I'm like, it's not that I'm like, oh, that's weird, like how could that happen? It's more just like how does she show love, you know? Like what are the ways that she does it, like cooking your favorite food, or like, you know, it's very much different. I think that's really beautiful.
I think sometimes we also ask the wrong questions, and we don't realize we do because we're really stuck in our position on the view of the world. So instead of asking like, does she say she loves you? Does you say I love you? Ask like, how do you express love? You know, these are the more constructive questions. And I know it's like just about love, but I think we really have this in, well, I don't know, like if you know the field of study that I'm in, I'm very much like about these kind of epistemological views on how we look at things, and yeah. So
Can I ask you guys, how you express real love?
Yes.
I was just thinking that I'm actually not sure. I have never really reflected on how I express love, because I'm very open, I think. Disagree if you want to, or at least bodily.
I think you are, but I think you are. But there's also like, I just saw you glancing over at your boyfriend, and like I feel like you have these different layers. No, in a good way, because I feel like I kind of do the same. Like you're like very expressive and loving, but then you have like this other true deep love, which is like protective and caring and checking and
But not checking. That's a
Yes, but it's also throwing glasses when you're angry. And but it's not.
Yeah.
It's even though it's not the most constructive way of expressing love, it's also an expression of love, isn't it?
But baby, you are the best at bringing people together. Like your love is also expressed in the way that you're like, oh, you can do something with her, or this can happen, or yeah, I really believe that we can organize this, and like your positivity and your energy. Oh, this sounds so hippie.
We sound like hippies. We're about.
But it's true though. Like you can bring people together.
Let's run over 5 more minutes because I think we're getting into a climax. But it's interesting you talk about organization because I'm thinking also about how love is being expressed as a community today, especially in times where maybe politics are not in our favor, in our view, for example, or how socially things are not working. And I think it's important, instead of making projects or work or organizations where it's just like saying shit is bad, let's make a solution and say shit could be good, and let's organize and let's bring positivity instead of drowning each other in negativity, because we all know what's happening and we all understand what's happening.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree too.
Oh, now it's time for questions. So, or interject. How do you call it? Introduction? Like people can jump in.
Yes.
That's what I mean.
There's
In the fancy way.
Do you guys not want to answer the question?
Oh, the question. How?
Because I'm genuinely interested.
I also have not thought about it like at all, but I feel like I do it in
With
also
your
like
Instagram stories, sending Instagram stories to people.
I do it like also like I don't know, I feel like I do it in small like subtle ways, like bringing someone's like favorite food, or like just doing something for someone without them asking. I feel like is like my main, like taking initiative and just like doing something to see someone smile without them asking, you know, or like even just being a support, or like my biggest love is like people relying on me. Like that's what like fills my heart, you know. Like when people feel like they can't rely on me, just like I like can't sleep at night, you know. So
I think with me, I definitely like having like kind of taking care of people. I think I'm quite a nurturing person, but not physically nurturing. But I just
Can I add one to your way of showing love?
Yeah.
I think you have invested a lot of your time and energy in knowledge and in wisdom, and I feel like you sharing that with the world, like the things you've learned and the way you speak about your studies and the things you read and the things you discover. It's really, I feel really loved if you tell me something about, like, share your wisdom.
I just hope I'm not an artist. I never graduated from an art academy. I know you either, Djuna, but you have been practicing art for much longer than I have. But I do think that, I don't know, now maybe it's off real love, but for me, like, love is just bringing people together also from very different fields, because sometimes we're very trapped as well, and just going back to Sydney, because she's the one that kind of, invited us here tonight and everything, she kind of did that, I was someone that didn't study, she didn't meet at the academy, she didn't really know me. And she heard my voice for like 5 minutes, and she's like, okay, giving, me a chance in a way. But I think
That's the realest of love. How dare you say that's not real love?
But I think this is it, just giving people chances and connecting. And I just like to have people over and chill. Is it Valentine's Day? 'Cause I love you guys.
You know what? This is funny that you say Valentine's Day, because this is like the realest thing I've felt in any Valentine's Day. I never pay attention to holidays like this, because coming from America, I'm just like covered in chocolate and red for like 1 month. And I'm just like, okay, whatever, like my friend didn't send me the heart lollipop, fuck you. But like no, but
Yamuna just said bitch and you a lollipop.
we're gonna have to bleep her later. No, but it's interesting to say that even if we barely know each other, to invite and to include, even if we're strangers, is the realest of love. It's like letting someone that you don't know out of the street. I mean, you're not quite on the street. Oh, you could come on the street, whatever. No,
Listening to each other. Listening to each other is so powerful.
Yeah, it is, because we don't do this often. And actually, this is interesting. I just want to add, this podcast is super interesting. I've never done this, and I don't think anyone's first time. And it's just now I'm starting to realize there's a difference between listening and actively listening, and it's fucking hard to actively listen.
We also have a lot of distractions because there's so gorgeous people around.
Side note, also, I'm having like a hardcore deja vu right now. Like, I don't know what the fuck just happened, but like, every detail, but that's like...
That's a nice deja
Yeah, and I think I've like written it down somewhere about like, I don't know, we're talking about love, but yeah.
So do we have time for questions? Yeah. Oh yeah.
You're the last one that didn't answer the question.
No, that's true.
And then we'll pause through.
I feel like the way, a way I love to express love is by listening to body language or how people respond, not so much in what they're saying, because I feel like we're in this context where everyone says a lot of things even without really thinking about it, but the way that your body moves, or if people are thirsty and I can see their mouth move a little bit, or if they're like tired and you can see them slouching a bit, like I love noticing little things like that and being there for it. Alphonse is also like that, so Federica has it covered. But yeah, I guess like that. And also the thing I recognize about you and your knowledge, I love to reference things or bring like, oh, you have to read this book, I'll bring it to you next time I see you. Like I've said love too many times.
Yeah, but the word love also is a bit overrated. I think we all agree. From this conversation, it's really about the action.
Yeah,
for sure. Like, even the way I say I love you to a friend or maybe an acquaintance is different the way I say I love you to my partner. Because it's my body language that says it all.
Exactly. Yeah.
Alright, do people wanna, that word that I'm not gonna say, jump in, interject? Interject. Malu, Giovanni, come here. Come here now. Step into the space. What do you guys think about real love? How do you express love?
I don't know. It's because okay. I feel like I'm in love for the first time.
I feel like I'm in love for the first time.
But is that real love? How do you I don't know how you define it. If it's real to you, it feels real.
Is real even real?
Yeah. Are we even here? Are we even here?
Okay, now we're on the subject of like real relationships. Every relationship, even if it lasts for 5 seconds, is real.
Yeah.
Like being in the moment is real. You don't have to fuck somebody until you're like 90 or until you're in the grave to be real. Like one night stands can be super real love.
I think it would be
The
very...
boys in the corridor, get into the podcast.
Excuse me.
Or whatever you identify as.
Alright.
Yeah, but we want to hear on the count of 3. Let's just point the mics at them because we're like kind of in a hurry.
Giovanni's getting away. My little fuck boy, come
Giovanni,
here.
come
Everybody.
Baby boy.
Okay, on the count of 3, even if you're outside the podcast room. Wait, what do we ask? What's real? Oh, yes.
Mention something about real love. What is it? It's comfortable, safe, but sometimes too boring as well.
I like that. Boring is real. I think that's scary.
Cool, okay, what do we want to
Oh, let's just do what you asked us to do. Like 3 seconds, say one thing, real love. Okay?
Okay, one word. So we're gonna say real love, and then you are all gonna answer with like your first thought on real love. 1, 2, 3. Real love.
God!
Thank you so much.
Okay, now you're dry still.
Let's go to Narcos.
Next performance, guys.
This is Cazzo. This is Cindy. This is Federica, also known as Fuegorosa, my DJ name. It's your girl Dick. At girl Dick. At her.
I'm Djuna.
Djuna.
I think we'll continue this throughout the night.
No, baby, I'm gonna turn off the mic. I'll go with you. I turn off the mic. Where's the speaker? Where's the oh, I think I dropped it. That's what dropped.
Oh, we got 37 minutes.